Welcome into another episode of Popcorn and Root Beer. We have a packed show for you tonight. Lady Gaga's Mayhem is a hit, but did it resonate with our team? Plus, we are giving you the best bets on movies such as Minecraft, Warfare, and Snow White. So hit that intro. It is time for the show.
Grab your popcorn, dim the lights. It's movie time, we're taking flight. From the silver screen to your earbuds here, we're diving deep, so lend your ear. Action, drama, comedy, gold. Stories fresh and classics old. We'll break it down, scene by scene, from indie gems to Hollywood dreams. Roll the credits, let's begin. Talking movies, where do we fit in? Heroes, villains, twists and turns. The love for cinema always burns. Roll the credits, it's time to see what makes the movies magic for you and me.
Hello, once again. We are back, the Popcorn and Root Beer gang, but you may be saying to yourself, things look a little different. What's going on? Number one, I am not Trash Sandwiches. I am Steve Lawson. To my this side, that side, is Trash Sandwiches. And unfortunately, Jake is ill tonight. So it's just me and you.
It is. And yeah, very funny that we started in the wrong spots.
I know, because
Anyway.
we had fixed that.
Yeah, we did.
Like, I assure
wow.
everybody watching this that we are competent
We
at
have
our
that.
jobs. Tonight's an exciting show. We got a lot going on in this show. It's an unfortunate situation that Jake couldn't make it because we're actually bringing a new segment in as well. Like, not only are we going to talk about maybe the best pop album of the 21st century. No spoiler, potentially.
Maybe.
But we're going to be able to really make some like cool and bold takes for our show. So I'm really excited. Jake is joining us from the
Yeah.
comfort of his
Yes.
bed
Thank you, Jake.
here to beat me up with trash. So let's
Yay.
dive like right in because we need to talk
Mhm.
about what's on everyone's mind. Mayhem.
Mayhem. Everything
Mayhem.
is mayhem.
Mayhem
My brain is all
released.
mayhem.
Mother Monster delivered for us, right? It always feels like in times of turmoil, Lady Gaga shows up with an absolute banger album. I don't know what it
Yes.
is about her doing that, but trash.
She knows when we need her.
She knows. She shows up when we need her. What are your thoughts? Like your instant thoughts when you listen?
It is phenomenal. It is like classic Gaga, but in the absolute best way possible because it's the classic Gaga with the more mature version. And like it's so good. I love it. I was just listening to it before we went on, obviously, and it's like,
Oh yeah,
you
have to.
can't get enough. No, I really love it, and we'll get into like so much Gaga on this show, but
So much.
yeah, I don't know.
It feels like it's
how
never
deep
enough
into
Gaga
it.
though.
It's
It
never
feels like
enough
it's
Gaga.
never enough Gaga, right? So like, here's my
Well,
question for you: do you have a
yes.
favorite song off the album?
Oh,
Like
I don't
picking
know.
at
I
your
was
album,
trying to think
focus
of this
choicing you.
before. It is. I know it's really hard. Like, how bad do you want me is definitely up there. Perfect
Love it.
Celebrity might be like, yeah. I don't know.
It's cool that this album, so many people have so many, like everyone has a different favorite. Like every song on this album, I've heard someone say is their favorite, which is
And
just
also
crazy.
like different moods for different things. Cause like if I'm feeling all romantic and sweet, Blade of Grass, like that is
Right,
wow.
right. Yeah,
It
it hits.
there is something for just about every mood on here. It is the full range of Gaga, and I love that. Like I think she's done some albums that were like all in one, all in another, and like, you know, you have to do those experimentations. I like that this one is Gaga through and through, but has that full range.
Yeah, it really feels like she found that sound obviously early on in her career, but as she's grown as an artist and been able to explore different like genres and stuff, you see so much influence on this album from so many different genres, from
Yeah.
rock to disco to like it's so
Mhm.
amazing. My favorite song changes by the day. It literally changes by the day.
Yeah. Well,
For
and
the
it
last
never feels like she's imposing on a genre. Like it feels like she's always working in conversation with, never just
yes.
like I'm like, I don't know. We'll get into some of this with like a little later, but like some artists can just like do something in a different genre and like
It's
it's
very
not them. And
disingenuous.
it
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, thank you. It's disingenuous. That's the word that I was looking for.
Yeah, like right now
Um
I am obsessed with Shadow of a Man. That song
the Shadow
goes
of Man is so
so
good.
unbelievably hard. Um I wrote a whole article
So
on this album. I
yes.
did a whole album review and like it's kind of hard to have sat down and been like,
Mhm,
"Yes, I'm putting these numbers and associating like ratings and
mhm.
stuff because it changes, right?" Like that's like kind of like stuck now and I'm like, "Ah, should I have I stand by it. I think it's pretty close, but like
Yes.
i- it's hard to say what is the best song off of this album."
I will say, as the person who edited that review, I did go through and, like, listen to each song as I was, like, editing each blurb. It took me forever because it took me the full length of it just because you
Yeah.
had to do it justice. And I didn't, like, do formal rankings necessarily numerically of my own, but I did, like, kinda compare my thoughts, cheers, and, like, I think we're pretty aligned in terms of, like, the better, the worse songs. But it is a deep album. I will say there are some ones that, like, some songs, some moments that kind of sound a little bit like an old song, not in a bad way, just like, okay, "Don't Call Tonight" is Alejandro.
Yes. Don't Call Tonight is
Thank you.
very Alejandro coded, but that's fine, right? Like that's fine.
I love
I
Alejandro.
love that song because I love
Right. I
Alejandro.
love them
Like,
both.
yeah, I love them both. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. You could write an
Yeah,
entire album that just sounds like Alejandro, like all the way through, and I'd be like, this is a great album. So I don't think
absolutely.
there's anything wrong with that. Like you're hearing the term so often now, like reheating your nachos. They're her nachos, right? Like she
Yeah,
said that. She's
yeah,
like, they're my nachos. I can do what I want
yeah.
with them. So
Also,
like,
I don't think it's reheating if you're, like, taking it and I don't wanna say doing it better because I will get into this later, but
a lot of
it is like a progression. It is a progression in her music career, absolutely.
yeah, it absolutely is. And the album was Mayhem. And I love that, like, because people came out and they were like, wait, I thought it was going to sound like Disease and Abracadabra. And it's like, that's not what Mayhem is. You never know what's coming next. And this album
Yes.
keeps you so on your toes. It's amazing.
Mhm.
I am top to bottom just thrilled with it. But
Same.
we have a responsibility to the people that listen to our show to deliver some betting odds. So let's get to that because we're going to dive into some Kalshi cuts. It's time to hit that country twang a little bit and let's let that rip.
Under the neon lights where the shadows dance, we ride the rhythm, take a chance. Blades of sound slicing through the night. Kashi cuts bringing fire to the fight. Kashi cuts sharp and clean, carving paths in a midnight dream. Feel the beat, let the echoes rise in the heart of the city.
I love a good country, not country song or a cunty song. I do love a good cunty song, but um,
I love
I
Cunty
love,
Country. I'll
I
say it.
love, yeah, I love like a good like hook. That song still gets me every
Oh,
time,
yeah.
and I don't even like country that much. But we are going to lay down some bets for you, the people. We at IBT are working on an algorithm that is trying to give you the best odds for Kalshi, especially when it comes to Rotten Tomato scores, and that is what we do here. I am going to start us off because you went in a different direction than Rotten Tomatoes, which is bold
Did.
and
It's a
risky.
music episode. We're doing pop.
It is a very musical episode, but I am so on brand in my soul.
Yes.
I had to go with a horror movie. Like it's just gonna happen every
Yeah.
single time. Clown in a Cornfield. Rotten Tomato score, I have it as an under at 75. Listen, sounds like a cool idea. I like it. Right? I like a good slasher film. I think it's based on a short story. I all in, right? This kind of movie just doesn't feel like a highly rated Rotten Tomato score. If it's just going to be like a gore, it feels like this can, with a story like this, it can get away from you really quickly, and that usually is what causes Rotten Tomato scores to fall. Is you're relying on 3 out of every 4 people to appreciate what you've done, right?
Yeah.
That's
A
really
lot.
difficult because if I put a bunch of people together, say I took 100 people and I put chocolate ice cream in front of them, I would be really surprised if 75% of them liked chocolate ice cream.
Yeah.
So I'm always really hesitant to like just hand out these overs on these high bets. I think we're going to watch this fall. I think we're going to see this finish closer. I haven't run the numbers entirely yet on it, but I think we're going to see this run closer, probably to like in the 60s. This feels like a pretty solid bet to fall in that range. Because think of it this way, the Monkey, which was really well reviewed, only finished with a 78.
Yeah. 75 is a very tall bar. And I think like going under is taking an under on a tall bar is always a good bet, you know?
Yeah, it's almost like being at like a party and someone brings the limbo out and they've started it at your eyeballs, right? Like you're like, all right, good,
Yeah,
I can
you're
just
like,
walk under
okay,
this.
cool. Yeah,
Right.
I can get through that round.
Yeah, like this is what an under 75 really feels like,
Yeah.
especially if they're giving you basically even money for it.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty in on that overall. I know you're not a horror movie fan.
I
Are
hate
you
you
a
for
clown
making me
fan?
watch all
Do you
these horror
do you like
movie
clowns?
trailers. Oh God, no. No, it's creepy. It's super creepy. I watched the trailer and I will watch these trailers for you and begrudgingly, but like they're terrifying and like
They
it
are.
didn't look terrifying necessarily. I don't know. It doesn't
I
look good in a way like, okay, so the woman in the yard, like that one
That
looked
looks really
scary,
good.
but it looked scary in a way that was like, okay, that's actually like a compelling story. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that has and that was a much lower bar to clear. Like, you know, I think
I
this is a solid
Do you
bet.
remember, like, what was it? Almost a decade ago now, I feel like the clown epidemic that we had. Remember when like all the clowns were out and about?
I
Like people
do.
were
I don't
pretending
want
in the
to, but I
comments.
do.
Does anyone remember that? Like, am I going insane? Like, I feel like that was something that like we brushed aside so quickly, and we just had
Yeah.
a bunch of people dressed as clowns, like out here, like harassing people.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I it was bad. I'm very glad that I lived in like I think I was living in the middle of nowhere at that time. So I was like, there's no chance that people are gonna do that here. Like this is not that kind of
I
middle of
feel like that's
nowhere.
where it was happening, though. I feel like it was happening in the middle of nowhere. Like was it in cities? Is that what was going on?
I think it was like some cities, some like suburbia more so. Like this was like I think I was in New Mexico, like living away from internet at the time. So I was
Oh
like, this is
wow.
that kind of like
Wow, geez, you really do like to live nowhere, huh? Like you're kind of an
I
off the
mean,
grid human being. Um,
you know,
yeah, I
it was
I
a
think
10.
that was a weird time, and it just stopped.
It was a
Like
weird time. Yeah.
it weirdly stopped. It came on
Well,
quick
and
and it
there was
stopped
always
quick.
the speculation of was it like the promo for that movie or was it genuine or was it, whatever. Like, and I think there's
Yeah,
probably some mix to it, somebody did it for the movie, somebody
but the
else did it to
fact
like
that like
copy,
they
whatever.
never came out and said like, "Hey, that was us," makes me think like maybe not, right? If like because they'd come out like once the police started to get involved, they'd be like, "It's a marketing campaign, relax," right? Like so that their actors didn't get like
Maybe. Okay.
fucking
Fair.
tased.
Yeah.
By a cop or something. Like, remember when Smile did it at like the MLB stadiums? They had everyone like smiling at the cameras like weirdos.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
I liked that. That was a cool marketing campaign.
Yeah.
A clown guy. I think anyone who wants to be a clown needs to be imprisoned immediately. Um I think that's just weird. I think you're weird for
I don't
that.
know why we do it for kids either.
No,
Oh, okay. Wait. Hang
there's nothing
on. Jake
about it.
is chiming in the comments. He is saying it stopped after one dude got hospitalized for doing it to the wrong person. Jeez. Okay. Yeah. I mean, oof.
Yeah. I mean that makes sense though, right? Like
Yeah.
what were you expecting to happen
Yeah.
other than getting your ass beat?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
No
I
good
just don't
outcome.
understand the clowns, and I agree. Why do we bring those to, like, kids' parties? It's like, look how fun. I've never seen a child enjoy a clown. Not for 1
Mm-mm.
second.
Mm-mm.
I don't mean to
I
offend
was
the clown
very afraid, like
community.
at the parades in the back in the day as a kid when like the clouds would rock. Mm-mm. I'd hide.
Yeah, no, it's very odd. It's very creepy. I'm not a fan. But there is someone I am a fan of, and we get to talk about her right now. Chappell Roan.
Chappell Roan. So this is a very interesting line, I think. The odds right now are set at 30% yes. So like very few people think that she is going to have a number one hit in 2025. There is money to be made in that because here's why. It is March 20th and she currently has a number 7 hit. This is not her highest. Her highest was number 4, Good Luck Babe. But number 7, it is Pink Pony Club. Pink Pony Club has been there for 39 weeks. That's the peak. I don't know that that's going to be the number one. I also don't think The Giver is going to be it. I don't think that's really coming for the charts, to be honest. I have hot takes on that. But she's almost definitely dropping an album because like that's going to be, it's got to be one of the lead singles on it. I firmly believe that she can have a number one hit in 2025. This is like a little bit of the hot hand bet because she did win me.
She is definitely hot
She
right now
is.
too. So you've made money on Chappell you've laid some money down on Chappell, and that's great.
Yes.
She is hot right now. I can't believe
she
Good
is
Luck Babe
hot.
never got to number 1. That's surprising to me.
I don't know. It is a little surprising, but the Billboard charts are weird. Like number 1 right now is Luther. Like I don't feel like that's
I've never
a
even heard
number
it.
1, right? I've like maybe
I've
heard
never
it
even heard it.
once. It's like a Kendrick Lamar. I've maybe heard it once, like as an autoplay after, but like
I don't get it. I don't get how the Billboard charts work at all. So
I don't
it's
necessarily,
very
but
confusing.
I do in some ways. I don't know. There's like a whole lot of streaming stuff, and I think radio play comes in weirdly high on it, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I mean, radio's
I'll
always,
do
that's
research.
fine. But
I'll try and research this. I don't know.
yeah, it's I think it would be a surprise if she got a number 1. If Good Luck Babe didn't do it, I don't know. And if Pink Pony Club isn't there already, I mean, that song's everywhere right now. Everywhere you go, you hear that song. I mean,
Yes.
it kind of got
But
like weirdly rejuvenated.
I know, but it is March. She has time to drop an album and she has time for that album to percolate up to number 1. This
Better
is
be a good album.
number 1 hit by the end of 2025. I don't know. I think it's like
I think it's a
sprinkle.
solid. I mean, if you're getting plus money on it, I think that's fine. So,
oh yeah. Also, Jake says charts are bought.
I mean,
yeah, fair.
Isn't everything?
Oh, that's how Beyonce won the. Right.
Yeah. That.
Sorry.
You know what? Yeah, I gotta tell you, I'm like right there with you. Anyway, that's our Kalshi bets. I will give Jake a little bit of love though. He wanted you guys to know that he thinks Warfare, the new movie that's coming out, that I dropped in the bumper, like in our starter, like our teaser, I guess, is going to go over 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. I agree with that. I think that's a pretty safe bet. It's a really like gritty war film with an absolutely impeccable cast, and it's directed or written by a guy who it's almost semi-autobiographical because he was in the Iraq War, and it's about like a day in the Iraq War in like combat. I think critics will eat it up as long as it's shot half decent.
It's an A24 film, so like
it's an A24 film.
Be.
I mean, it's like Joseph Quinn, Kit Connor. Just it's like if you look up the cast, it's like name after name after name after name after name, and you're just like, oh my god. So they really
solid bet.
They really went they really went all in on that. Jake says he bets overs on A24 films. He's only a man, and you know what? A24 does tend to roll out the bangers. So I like it. We're gonna go on now to the forecast. Let's drop that song real quick, and we'll be right back with you. We are starting off the box office forecast in a fight because you and I don't agree on our first pick. Snow White opening weekend over under $55.5 million in the United States. I have the over. You have the under.
Jake and I were going to gang up on you.
And now Jake's not here, so now I feel like I can speak my mind freely. I think this movie's
Who's
going to
gonna
do
bring
better than
the
people think.
stats?
Yeah,
Okay.
Jake with the stats on the back end. I do think this movie's going to do better than we expect.
Mhm.
Only because like kids love princesses, right? Like little kids, regardless of the bad press of this movie, it's not going to stop little kids from being like, I want to go see it. And unless you're a real prick, like you're not going to let your feelings of Rachel Zegler or like Gal Gadot like impact your child's ability to go see a movie, right? Like this is not saying anything controversial. It's just a movie, right? And if you don't like the star for some reason and your kid's like, I want to go see this movie, and you're like, no, that's weird. That's weird behavior. And I don't think that's going to happen all that often. I don't think there's that many like true weirdos.
I agree. Do you know any opening weekends for like okay, comparable princess movies that came out, live action princess movies? So we have like the Cinderella that came out. There's been a couple. Not the one with what's her face from Fifth Harmony. The one from
Oh, Camilla Cabello. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Not that
that
one.
was
The one
weird.
with it like Lily James is coming to mind, but I don't think it's
Lily
her.
Collins.
Lily Collins. Thank you. I knew it was a
Yeah.
Lily.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like one of those like how have they been doing? Because I feel like 55 million, 55.5 million to be exact. I think
Um
it's kind of a tall bar. I don't know. How have these movies I don't know that these live action movies are doing that good. And I think it's like more about that than I mean, there is
so
some about, you know.
The Little Mermaid,
Okay,
uh
fair. That's a
The Little Mermaid, I think I'm reading it made a little over 100 million in its opening
okay.
weekend. Um I'm thinking Beauty and the Beast did really well. Uh Cinderella didn't do well, but I don't really remember the marketing for Cinderella really. Like Rachel Zegler's doing the work right now for this. Like
Yeah, they
she's
have
going
done
around
a
and
lot
that
of
song is
marketing.
out there now. Like Waiting on a Wish is now out in like the universe
Mhm.
and it's getting rave reviews as a song, right? Like they talk about potential
Haven't heard it
Oscar for
yet.
best original song
Hmm.
for this thing. What I'm hearing
Yeah.
and I'm going to put this out there. We are not paid by Disney yet. We are not marketing Disney. We are not here to like, I'm not here to like glaze up Disney. Okay. I do love Disney, but I will not sit here and lie to you. What I'm
Mhm.
reading and what I'm gathering is that Rachel Zegler is very good in this film. However, Gal Gadot is apparently as bad as anyone has ever seen her. And it
Yeah.
drags the whole movie down with her, is what I'm hearing. So when she's on screen, bad. When Rachel Zegler's on screen, good. When they're together, it's meh because Rachel's ability cannot
Yeah.
handle Gal's inability. Now, I say this strictly speaking about her acting, okay? Because we try to keep things very neutral on
Mhm.
the show as much as we can, right?
We're talking entertainment.
We're talking entertainment, right? Take away everything else about her and put her acting skills in the focus. I think Gal Gadot, I think the number one issue she has
Yeah.
is that she has a very hard time, it seems like, taking words in her head and actually saying them in English. I don't know if her acting
Hmm.
skills are necessarily bad so much as that she's having a hard time translating it. And I think
Hmm.
that we forget that this is not her first language and she came over to like America very late in life. Like to learn a new
Yeah.
language and have to try to like translate in your head what you want to say because regardless of how it goes, right? I'm assuming most people who are bilingual, their initial language is what they hear everything in and then they go, "All right, and this is what I'm going to say." And if she's having a hard time with that, that might be a part of the reason. I've always said that I think there's more to her
So,
than what we're seeing.
how long has English been her primary language though? Because it does flip after time. Like my dad was actually not a native English speaker, and now like we've talked about this kind of thing before, and like I do think he kind of thinks more in English these days. I think he dreams in Spanish, which is funny, but like, you know.
Right. One of my friends, I asked her, I said, what language do you hear in your head? And she said Spanish. So, like, and she is a primary English speaker, but like her parents
Mhm.
speak Spanish primarily. So, but she dreams in Spanish and thinks in Spanish. So I'm like, I wonder if Gal Gadot kind of does the same thing. Not
Maybe
a total
I think
excuse, I don't think she's a
She's
good
just
actor.
a little flat, in my opinion. I think she
She's
just
very
doesn't
flat.
give enough emotion. Like, that's I think on the surface, she's just not
I wonder
it's
if she
not
just
that
wants
deep
to.
because she's not
It
that
always
deep.
looks like she wants to smile. Like it feels like her default setting is
Ew.
like smile. Like, and I don't
Like a
know. Like,
smize.
I think this was the wrong role for her in the first place. She is
No,
very
it's not her.
beautiful,
Yeah.
right? She's very
Yeah.
number one. She is very beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no fucking way Gal Gadot is sitting there seething over someone else being pretty when you
Yeah.
look like Gal Gadot. No fucking way.
Yep. She's fine. She's fine that
She's
other people are
fine.
pretty. Um, yeah, I think that's gonna be the issue with the movie, and that's kind of why I'm leaning under is just I don't think Gal Gadot can make up for Rachel Zegler in this. Like, I don't or rather, I don't think Rachel Zegler can make up for Gal Gadot in this. I don't think, like, she
Yeah.
can I think she can do a lot, and I think people are just not gonna go they're not really gonna come out to see it if they're, like, getting like, only half of the film is carrying. What I will say about Rachel Zegler, though, is she's gonna get an EGOT, and she's gonna get an EGOT young.
She is amazing. I love her. I saw her in Romeo and Juliet on Broadway. It was
Mm,
unreal. She was
yeah.
unreal. Like there was a
Oof.
singing part of that show for no reason whatsoever, but it was there. And she killed it. She killed it as she
Of
of
course.
course was going to, right?
Yeah.
I went because obviously Kit Connor, like, you know, he's
Did he
hot
sing
and
in
he's
it too? No.
he did not sing in it. He
Okay.
died as one does as Romeo. Um
Right?
It was very dramatic. And he did a
Ugh.
pull-up to kiss Rachel Zegler on the balcony. So that was cool.
Ooh, fun.
He wore like a mesh tank top the entire time. It was great. Yeah, it was
Love it.
awesome. So loved that. Rachel Zegler, amazing, amazing, amazing. Hi Seth,
Mhm.
we see you in the comments. Nice to see you
Hey,
too.
Seth.
Anyway, that's enough about
Thanks
Snow
for
White
joining.
because I need to go see
Yes.
it. I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna go see it by myself because I have no one to go see it with. So I actually can't go see it by myself because then I look like a fucking pervert. So I'm gonna go and I don't know.
Yeah,
You know what I
unfortunately.
need? I need my brother to start having kids. That's what I need.
Mm,
I need nephews. I need my
no.
best friend or my brother to have kids. Because first off, I'm not fucking doing that. No way.
No. God, no.
God
Nope.
no. Let me tell you, like, women are the real MVP for like even keeping the human race going. I would have seen that happen once and been like, absolutely not.
I mean,
Absolutely
I'm
not.
absolutely not like
Absolutely not.
so
If
go
men
other women,
had-
it's not
if it
me.
was flipped and men had to like give birth, the human
they
race would have lasted a
couldn't.
solid one generation and like ended because we all would have been like, no way,
Y'all couldn't
no way,
handle this.
yeah, no. And
I
then have
can't
like a
either,
little,
to be
to
clear,
have a
but
kid like running around and making all that noise and shit, like, ugh,
they're
gross.
sticky and they're stinky.
They're
Sorry.
sticky, they're gross. They don't know how to like. They'll like you can't leave them alone or they'll like die. It's weird.
Mm,
Anyway,
yes. Not kids.
Daniel Craig has officially retired as James Bond. Rip to Daniel Craig as James Bond. Pour one out. It's time for us to find a new one. And we're laying down the bets. Now I'm going to ask you two questions here.
Mhm.
One, who is your best bet to play James Bond? But second, who do you want to be the next James Bond?
I think my answer is the same for both because it's a homer pick.
Really?
Yeah. Because let me preface this by saying I have just never been a James Bond fan. I don't know why they just don't really do it for me.
Okay. All right. I mean, we'll let that slide, I guess.
Sorry.
It's fine.
I don't maybe okay, if my pick does come true, I will watch a James Bond. Because I am picking Theo James. I have talked about my love for Theo James before on the show. I have loved Theo James since the Divergent days, the original days of him. I think he would be a good James Bond. I think he's handsome in that kind of like classic way and has that like rugged, tough, but also suave. Like he can go in between.
Mhm.
And I think he can hold down the action and he can hold down the acting. And those are kind of like the important parts of a James Bond, in my opinion, right? In my completely James Bond
No,
James Bond opinion.
I think that's a fine opinion. Can I say something kind of illegal though?
Okay.
I don't see what people see in Theo James. Yeah. Yeah. That's what people do. That's what people do to
Okay.
me when I say this. Like, even my boyfriend was like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah, man.
So
Like, I don't get it. He's kind of falls in that same category as that guy that Seth loves from Twisters. What's his name there? Glenn
oh, I
Powell.
don't know.
Glenn
Glenn
Powell.
Powell.
Like, their face is too small
They're
for their
very
head.
different.
No, but they
No.
have that like square
Maybe
head.
Glenn Powell, but
Like, Glenn Powell's face is way too small for his head, but like they both have kind of like
maybe a
that
little bit.
square head thing going on. And like
I don't know.
I guess Theo James is more handsome. I would say like significantly more handsome than Glenn Powell. I'm not saying he's not handsome. What I'm saying is I don't see him as
Yeah.
like this like god of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
handsomeness that some
Okay.
people see him as.
We can all have our opinions. I don't think either of them are like similar looking in any. I don't understand how you're like, I don't know. I like Glenn Powell. I'm not as into I like Glenn Powell as an actor too. Attracted like looks wise, I don't think I like him as much as everybody else. Like people are really into him and I'm like, he's good looking, but I don't think that like blonde hair, blue eye, classic boy look like does it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah, I
why
get
like
that.
Theo James does it.
I mean, Theo James is like Theo James definitely looks like a man. You know what I mean? Like that classic
Mhm.
suave, like he'd pick you up and carry you across the threshold kind of deal,
Mm.
and like I don't know, throw you down on the bed. Like I just feel like he'd get like
The
he'd
song
get it
"Bedtime"
done.
by Sabrina Carpenter is coming to mind.
Yeah, like I feel like yes, I get
It is
that, right?
that,
Like
yes.
I do feel like Theo James would like deliver on the goods, and you'd be
Yes.
like fuck yeah, let's go. But yeah, I don't know, I don't see it. My pick, I took the chalk. I went boring. Josh O'Connor feels like the right pick. Um he's going off at minus 125. He's red hot coming off of challengers. Uh
Didn't he
he's
kinda, like, get a little nod from Daniel Craig or something?
did he? That also might be why. But like he's not he's kind of like Daniel Craig, I think. I think he fits the same mold of like, is he handsome? Yes. But it's not like a distracting level of handsome, right? That he can kind of be that
Hmm.
everyman spy, a little more rugged, a little more like able to be beaten up, and you're not like, no, his face. Um, I think overall he fits that mold really well. I bet that he's going to win, but if I got to pick and I took my entire bias out of it and said like I can't pick Kit Connor as the next James Bond, I would pick Henry Cavill. Um,
Mm.
I think he's just gorgeous. Him or Tom Hiddleston. I think they both would be really good James Bonds. I think
Yeah.
Henry Cavill would be a more aggressive, like physical James Bond, where I think if you took
Mhm.
Tom Hiddleston, you could dive more into the like espionage
Tom Hiddleston is more
aspect.
of, like, the gentlemanly like, James
Yeah,
Bond, you know?
almost
Yeah,
like a
more of the
throwback.
espionage for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, and I
yeah.
think it would be like a more of a spy thriller rather than an action
Mm,
movie. And I think
right.
you have to like pick your style here with like
Mhm.
who you're going with James Bond. So drop in the comments
Could
though,
be
like who you
interesting.
think should be James Bond, who you want to see as James Bond. Um,
Mhm.
try to pick someone British would be my advice to you because they're not going to pick a non like at least UK person, right? Like that's just not going to happen. Like an American isn't playing James Bond. So I'm just going to let you know. Anyway, we want to talk pop music. I want to talk pop
Yes.
music. You want to talk pop
I
music.
wanna
We
talk
love
pop
pop
music.
music. It's
Yes.
time to make some people mad. It's time for Mount Rushmore.
Rest on the best mountains in the west. The stories will last. The present and past.
We are talking the top pop albums of the 21st century, our top 4. This was so hard. This was so hard to do. Like, there was some I had to leave out, and I was like, man, that was a good
Yes.
album. Whether or not, like, I'm like huge fan of like the artist itself, I'm like, that's a massive monster album. And I feel
Mm.
like we need to talk these through. Now, I started the last. Oh no, you started the last one, so I'll go first.
Okay.
You let me know where I went wrong. Okay? I'm going to just
Yes.
list them out first, and then we're going to break them down.
Mhm.
Mayhem is on my list as one of the four best pop albums of the 21st century, along with Adele's 21, Kelly Clarkson's Breakaway, and I might have cheated a little bit on this one, but I'm counting it as pop because so many songs ended up on the radio. Green Day's American Idiot. Are we allowing American Idiot to stand?
Yes. Yes. I kind of, and we talked about this before, like we can kind of loosely interpret pop to include some of the like crossover pop genres that are
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it totally works because if it doesn't, then Discount's maybe one of my picks. That being
Yeah.
said, I also have many backups.
Yeah, it felt like a pop punk album. I think I'm going to start there. I'm going to start with American Idiot. That album almost, I think, changed punk music permanently. It changed Green Day's trajectory, obviously. It turned them from a band that, like, you knew into a certifiable legend band, right? Like, they are legendary now. And it's really built off of American Idiot. Now, Green Day day oneers might yell at me about that. I feel like if Jake was here, he'd get on me a little bit and he'd be like, no, Dookie was way better in some ways, right? I feel like that's a Jake-ism.
But we're not talking better, we're talking top pop albums.
Right. But I
Dookie
love
is
American
not
Idiot.
really a pop album.
It's
American
not.
Idiot
It's
is
not.
pop.
American Idiot was very pop. Like, you got Holiday, you got Boulevard of Broken Dreams, you got American Idiot, obviously, off of it.
Wow.
There's a lot of good songs off of that. Adele's 21. I feel like this is a slept-on album. I feel like this is a slept-on. You got Rolling in the Deep. You got Set Fire to the Rain.
Chasing Pavements?
Chasing Pavements.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a strong album. And I feel like it needs to be loved more. I'm sick of the Adele slander. I will not tolerate it.
Think she gets enough flowers, and like I don't.
She doesn't.
Is it because she's not touring in the same way as like some of these other pop divas?
I think so.
Okay, but like that's a shame because Adele is amazing. She is phenomenal. Like she has had a deep career, and like this album it was the start of it, and it is like it stands up.
It does. I think it's still the peak of her, right? Like her songwriting. I think she's gone away from those big belty ballad kind of things lately,
She has moved away, yeah.
which is fine. It's disappointing on some levels, but you know what? Like, you got to do what you got to do and write what you want to write. Kelly Clarkson. She's becoming America's sweetheart, and I love it. I'm here for it. I will never disparage
She always
Kelly.
has been, and she always will be. The original American Idol.
The original, and really, like, let's be real, like, so far and away the best American Idol. Like,
Carrie Underwood is like very close.
She's fine. I think she's had some good songs. I like Carrie Underwood's some of her songs, but Kelly Clarkson is. I mean, she's
Kelly Clarkson is still the number one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Breakaway was such a good album. I mean, you had Breakaway, which is a good song. Behind These Hazel Eyes, great song. Since You've Been Gone, great song. Like, it's banger after banger after banger after banger. And then Mayhem, which of course we're going to talk about.
Also, what I think Breakaway, one of the big things that gives it staying power is if you think about all of those songs that you listed, just about every single one, there is a classic movie that heavily features that song, like the Pitch Perfect Since You've Been Gone, the Princess Diaries Breakaway, like that. It is cemented in pop culture in so many ways.
It was such a good album because it really like they said, like, Kelly's a powerhouse vocalist, and we're gonna show exactly what we mean by that.
Let her do that.
And it's almost like a pop rock album. Like, you listen to Behind These Hazel Eyes and listen to any other like rock song and tell me it doesn't fall right in there with it. I mean, that she is just sending.
Well, there's something, and I am definitely going to botch what it is, but if I'm not mistaken, it's related to an Avril Lavigne. Was it?
Avril Lavigne wrote one of the songs.
Must know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Avril Lavigne wrote one of the songs.
Because of You? No.
No, I think it was Breakaway. I think Breakaway was written by Avril Lavigne.
Okay. Yeah. Because we will do here honorable mention. Jake had Let Go by Avril Lavigne on here. I think it's
That was
solid.
one of the ones I had a hard time saying no to. I think Teenage Dream by Katy Perry is another honorable mention of mine that I was like, how do you say no to that album? It was so monstrous.
Not like the biggest Katy Perry fan, but
Not a big Katy Perry fan, but that album is undeniable.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it had what, like 5 number ones or 6 number ones off of it.
Oh god, something like that.
It was
Had to.
huge. I mean, it was
Yeah.
huge. It was, Firework, Teenage Dream, California Girls, like it was over and over and over. And I was like,
Hot
oh,
and
maybe
Cold.
Hot.
I Kissed a Girl.
I think that was her first album. I think that was off the first one.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah,
whatever.
but those are my 4. What do
Yes.
you got?
So, I will list them all and then we can get into them. So, 1989, and this is specifically Taylor's version. The bonus tracks do something there. But
Sure.
we'll
What's
talk
your favorite
more.
song off of it?
That's so hard. I love no, there's so many different moods. New Romantics, You Are in Love, but also if we're doing like any of the bonus tracks, Say Don't Go, like there you can't put me on the spot
This
like
might
that.
be one of my least favorite Taylor Swift albums.
Interestingly, it wasn't one of my favorites before Taylor's version came out, and then re-listening back through it more comprehensively with Taylor's version and the bonus songs, I was like, no, it might not be my favorite, but as far as like top pop albums go, it
Sure.
is.
Yeah.
It is up there.
That's
I don't
fair.
know.
Like,
I feel
I
like
don't have a leg to stand on though, because Reputation's my favorite.
Reputation is
It's a hot
okay.
take.
Yeah. No, I do love Reputation, and there's, if I'm not mistaken, some Kalshi lines that are about Reputation.
I love it.
That's why you should be looking at music lines.
I know.
Trying
to build an algorithm.
Fair. I know. I'll keep the music going.
What's the next one?
I'll do a music algorithm. Yes. Okay. So next, and when we were initially talking about Lady Gaga and you were like, this is my favorite album with Mayhem, and I said, I don't know if it is mine. It is because the Fame Monster, like the Fame Monster Deluxe with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a strong one.
Yes. Sabrina Carpenter, Short and Sweet. And last but not least, and part of why I would absolutely allow Green Day, is Fall Out Boy from Under the Cork Tree. I think pop punk holds a very special place in the pop lexicon, if you will. And this album, like, this was a formative moment. I would say like all of these are kind of like they had their moments. And I think that's like the sign of a great album. And it's not just like your personal moment, but like From Under the Cork Tree and that Fall Out Boy wave was absolutely, it was a wave. It was a time. Jake had this on his list too.
He did. He also had we're going to give Jake some love here, because he also had an album that I had to consider as well, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out by Panic at the Disco, which brought me down a friggin' rabbit hole, because again, pop is it's a weirdly broad term, right? And when I was in high school or middle school, My Chemical Romance dropped Welcome to the Black Parade. And that album, that was really formative for a lot of kids. A lot of kids got into the scene because of the Black Parade. So, like, it's hard to leave pop punk off. It's almost impossible. And to leave some of these albums off, because 4 is a hard number to get down to when you really start to break it down.
Very hard number. Because if I would give my honorable mentions, like there are so many. Rihanna, Auntie, and Rihanna needs to do new music. Like anything Britney, there's so many Britney albums. Also Beyonce. I know you're not as big on Beyonce, but some of those albums are like, they are up there. Dua Lipa, I strongly considered, and I'm not even the biggest Dua Lipa fan, but Future Nostalgia has bangers. It is full of bangers.
Yes. Yeah. I also considered Rina Sawayama, her self-titled album. Unbelievable. Hold the Girl is one of my like favorite songs going. Big shout out to my man Andy. Thank you, babe, for introducing me to Rina Sawayama. Big fan.
Harry Styles, Harry's house?
My mom would love that. She would probably back that. My mom is a big
Is
Harry
your mom
Styles
a
fan.
Harry Styles fan? Was your mom also
So
a One
bad.
Direction fan?
No, she got really into, like,
Okay,
I don't
okay,
know.
with
She went through some
Harry.
midlife crisis and became a Harry Styles fan. It was very weird. It still is weird.
I
Like,
love it. My
it's
friends are
odd.
like massive former Directioners turned Harry Styles fans, so I'm like a Harry Styles fan by default, and
I
it's
think I
very
hate that
funny.
band. I think I hated One Direction because I was a freshman in college when they were really, like, hitting their peak,
Mm,
I feel like, and I had, like, so many people were, like, obsessive about it, and I'm like,
oh yeah.
you can't obsess about this band so much that, like, it
No.
just it drove me nuts that, like, and there was some of the people I liked, so it didn't bother me as much, but, like, other people, like, you know when someone you don't like something and it instantly just
Oh yeah,
taints.
and you're like, absolutely not.
Yeah, you're like, I'd rather just hate it. What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Hey
dropping into the
Sam.
comments. Um, yeah, there was this
Yeah.
girl, and, like,
Oof.
listen, I'm all for the girlies loving what they like, but this girl, like, claimed she was a medium, like, it would try to, like, hold seances in our, like,
Oof.
study room,
Yeah.
and I was just trying to get my work done, right? Like, I'm just trying to sit there
Yeah.
and chill and,
You're
like,
like, I
eat
just
my
wanna live
lunch,
in my common space.
and she's like, "I can feel a negative presence with you." I'm like, "I am the negative presence right now. Like, you are causing me to be the negative presence. Like, go away." Um, I hate that shit. Like, and listen, I don't want to discredit psychics, okay? This Halloween, I went to a haunted attraction. Me, my boyfriend, my best friend, and his girlfriend, we all went. And this psychic looked first off, nailed it. We sat down, me and my boyfriend. She goes, "I think his energy is going to bring down your reading." And I said, I know this. I also am getting that feeling. Then she looks at him and goes, "I think you're going to have a pet die in the next like 5 months." 2 months later, his dog died. That was fucking
Aw.
crazy. Shout out her. Like, that's sad, I know. Like, but overall, like, how
Yeah.
amazing. Like, that she nailed
Yeah.
that and then nailed that I had the good energy.
Hmm.
Which I held over his head forever. To this day, I'm still like, remember what the psychic said.
I
I'm
got
like
that good energy, you know?
I got that good energy. She's like, "You have wonderful energy." Him, not so much. I was like, "That's right." I was like, "That is how it goes."
Good, good.
Yeah, it's wonderful. All right. You ready to do something new? Something exciting? Get a little spicy? Spicier than we've already been.
Yes. Let's
All
do
right,
it.
cool. Well, we're gonna bring a new we're gonna skip over the trash heap this week for time constraints. We talked too much about
Yeah,
mayhem, so we're gonna have to jump it.
it's all good.
But we're bringing this new segment. It's called "Hear Me Out." This is where we kind of give our burning takes on essentially the movie entertainment industry. Um, and we're gonna stand behind it. And this is your opportunity to tell us if you agree or if you think we're a bunch of idiots. And we really encourage you to tell us either way. But before that, listen to this absolute banger of an intro.
Maybe nostalgia's got you blind, or maybe I just see it right. I know, you wanna shout, but before you shut me down, just hear me out. Hear me out. I'm not afraid to take the heat. Hear me out. I'll die on this hill if I need. You can fight it, you can hate it, but you'll never say I forget. Hear me out. I got hot takes on repeat.
Speaking of pop punk bangers.
Right, right. Yeah, he was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like kind of MCR-ish." And I'm like, "That was what I was going for." So,
Yeah.
I'm always in on yeah, and then I
Love
finally
it.
got to put like Heartstopper and Psych in one of our like clips.
Mm,
So, I
yes,
like snuck that in there.
some
So
shows we love. Well,
some shows we love.
I still need to watch Heartstopper, but
If Net you know what? I'm gonna say this right now. If Netflix doesn't renew that for season 4, like, I might
mm,
actually, like, start a riot. I'm not happy that they are waiting this long. Season 3 was massively, massively well received, got a huge
how
audience.
long ago was it?
It came out in October.
Oh, and they haven't said that
They haven't said anything yet. I know. I'm very worried.
it's been 6 months, and
I know. I'm worrying.
yeah, everybody was talking about it. Like, I know I'm
know.
behind the times by not
I'm
seeing it. Come
worried.
on.
I'm worried. I am actively worried.
Ah.
But what is your spicy take? You got a hot take.
Yes. Stop the pandering country pop. So, this is what you might have noticed. I did the Fame Monster Deluxe. I did Taylor Swift 1989, Taylor's version, the bonus version, and I did not do the short and sweet deluxe. And I'm a little torn on this, but the pandering country pop needs to stop. Um, and it's not necessarily that these are bad songs. Like, I'm talking about the fact that okay, The Giver by Chappell Roan. It's a good song. We didn't need a Chappell Roan country song. I'm sorry. Similarly, Sabrina Carpenter doing a Please, Please, Please remix with Dolly Parton when Slim Pickens is right there. If you already had your pandering country pop song on the album, why did you make another one country pop? I'm just sick of all of these artists because I think that this pandering country pop crossover, like all these girlies, they're ruining the like true country pop girlies who have been there, like Taylor Swift and Miley Cyrus, who are, the crossovers that you think of.
Yeah.
But it's also like Casey Musgraves, Lainey Wilson, Kelsey Ballerini, like the true country pops who are in that country sphere. And like, we're doing all of these new country pop, like Dasha. Who the fuck is Dasha coming out? And like, why are we getting instead of And I Like Country? And we're just getting like all of these girls going into country to make the money. And it's disingenuous and I'm sick of it.
I
And
agree.
I think that's why like some artists are succeeding when they do some of this crossover and some like falls flat,
I totally agree. Now,
like,
I don't like country music. I really don't. It's just not something I enjoy. My dad has unfortunately become a country music fan, which is a development I didn't expect, but here we are.
my parents became
It's
really big Johnny Cash fans recently, like in their later years. It's pretty
oh
fun.
really
Yeah.
interesting. That's an interesting one.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. Like, why is Chappell Roan doing country? And she's like, I just like it, and I'm like, all right.
You have never done a
whatever.
country song, despite calling your album Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. You're doing
Right.
country now because it's popular on the charts.
Right. And that's what it feels like. It feels like chart chasing. I
Mhm.
agree. I think this is a great take. I don't think this is bad at all.
Thank you.
I am 1,000% behind this one because I think it just smacks of desperation. So bad.
Yeah.
Like it does. It just comes across so fake. So like it just is the ring chasing of pop music.
And it's one thing if you're like Taylor Swift doing a country song. Taylor Swift has been country since day one. She goes back and forth between things. She can do as much country as she wants, though.
Correct.
Like Beyonce as a genre album exploration, I'm like mixed on. You kind of get a pass because it's a genre album, but I'm like,
right. Yeah, it's very weird. And like, you never know who's going to do it. Like, like one of the few pop stars I think who were almost safe from ever doing is like Charlie XCX, but like anything other than her, I feel like we're just gonna wind up like if I hear like a Troye Sivan country song, I'm going to lose my mind. I'll tell you that right
You know
now.
what I actually really love is Gaga has had country and country inspired music since her first albums, and she did not put one on this. The closest would be her more ballady ones, and I think she very intentionally made that choice to avoid it in light of this.
Yeah, there's one song off of Joanne that I really loved that was kind of country, and I'm totally
A Million
blanking on the name.
Reasons.
A Million Reasons. Loved the song.
But there's also You and I and Speechless. She's always had.
Yeah, she does lean
Speechless
into it when
way
she wants
back
to.
since when she's always had like a little. Yeah, she can lean into it.
She does like country, and I think I respect that. All right. I got issues as well, especially with method actors. The second someone is described as a method actor, I'm like, you are just a jackass looking for an excuse to be a jackass. Like that is right. Jared Leto is in the picture because he's like the king of the jackasses. Because he like had to play the Joker and he insisted on people calling him Joker. And I'm like
Why?
I don't think you're a good actor if you can't switch it up. You know what I mean? Like if you have to stay in character the entire time. Now listen.
No, it's true.
There are times when you're acting that if you're like in this most intense scene you're ever in, right? Like you need to be sobbing uncontrollably over the dying body of your loved one, right? Sure, stay in that headspace if you need to. But you're playing the Joker in
Right.
Suicide Squad. Nothing needed to be that serious, right? Like, and there's so
Yeah.
many who are method actors that I feel like they're jackasses. Like,
Yeah.
De Niro is a method actor. What's his face who played Lincoln? Daniel Day-Lewis,
Oh,
method
yeah.
actor. Hoffman is a method actor. Both Philip Seymour and
Yeah.
Dustin, I think, were both method
Mm.
actors. And there's all these horror stories of working with them on sets because
Oh,
this
yeah.
practice is absolutely miserable for
It's
everyone else
just
involved.
being a jackass.
It's just being a
Yeah.
jackass for the sake of being a jackass and then being like, I was just staying in character. Like,
It's one
fuck all
thing
the way off.
to, like, stay in character through a shoot. Like, let's say you're, like, breaking scene for the, like, lunch, or I don't know how they're doing this, but you break for lunch and you, like, stay in character and are kind of an asshole to, like, stay in that headspace or whatever. I guess that's, but, like, for, like, weeks, months at a time, why do you need to live like that? That is just to be an
I
asshole.
I I don't even think I could like you're more lenient than I am because I don't even think I could give him a lunch break. Like if you're breaking for
I guess
lunch,
I'm not
there's
even thinking of, like, an asshole move. I'm thinking of, like, if you're, like, crying or if you're, like, using
I
an
guess, but
accent that
like
you, like, slip into and it's hard to get out. Like, that kind of method acting,
speaking in an
maybe?
accent, if you're like, hey, listen, I got to like, all right, Austin Butler with this Elvis thing that's going on.
Mm,
What the hell? What is that? He's like,
yeah.
my voice
Well,
changed. Did
yeah.
it?
You're not wrong, though, like, if you can't pull off the role just on your own acting chops and get in and out of character, like, you probably shouldn't be in that profession. There's probably better people out there who are more qualified for that job.
Yeah, like there's so many actors that like I'm trying to think of one that's not going to get me like yelled at, but like I just because it's so zany, right? Like imagine if Johnny Depp was just running around set like Jack Sparrow 24/7. How fucking insane
Yeah,
that would be and how miserable of an experience that would be to be around. Like it's unbelievable some of these people who are like, "Oh yeah,
they
you
get
have to
away
be
with it.
method." Like I did a musical not too long ago and I was in it with someone who insisted on staying in character in between like their scenes.
I'm sorry. This is like, I don't wanna, like, diminish, like, a community theater
It was
musical,
community theater. Like, what are you
and they're
doing?
like, "Okay." Like,
Like,
I love community theater, fully support it. What the fuck are you doing method acting there?
what are you doing method acting? Right, like, and he's, like, walking like, it was just and it just creates, like, the worst environment, right? Because like, I'm sitting there, like, looking at him, and he's, like, speaking in, like, this, like, snotty, awful way, and I was just like, "Dude, fuck off." Like, ugh. It gives me the ick so bad. Like, if I was an actor, like, if I had enough sway to be like, I don't wanna work with that person. The second I found out they were a method actor, I'd be like, "No, I'm not
Oh,
working
yeah.
with them." I'd be like, "I'm not
You
working
could,
with a
like,
method
put that
actor."
in your contract, no method actors.
Yeah, I would. I would, and, like, no directors that,
Yeah.
like, smack the shit out of their actors either, because
Oh
that's a
god.
thing that
Well,
happens.
that's just abuse.
Yeah, no, like, I think it was it The Exorcist? They said that the director, to get the right reaction, like, walked up and
Yeah.
smacked one of the actors, like, right in the face, and then was like,
Yeah, that's
"Go,"
not
and, like,
okay.
roll. Like, there's so many things that
Nope.
happen in show business still that I'm like, "How is this still going on?"
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I
Yeah.
it's a weird world,
There's some seedy
right?
sides to the entertainment
There's
industry,
seedy sides to
unfortunately.
it. I think in order to be an actor of these calibers, sometimes you are a little bit odd. Your whole life is basically playing pretend.
Sure. Well, and you've had, like, probably because most of the people, like, you don't start as an adult, so you've had your whole experience growing up in that world. Like, yeah, you're weird. You're in a weird environment, and you're gonna be a little
Exactly.
weird.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. But this my end point is that method acting is just an excuse to be a jackass.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have reached the sad point of our show where we have
Yes.
to say goodbye. Um, unfortunately, our time is up. Your time is now, as as the once great John Cena used to say. Now he's a bad guy and he's ripping on kids, and I'm loving every second of it. It makes me laugh. Uh, Trash, thank you so much for being here. Everyone who tuned
Thank
in tonight,
you.
thank you so much for coming out tonight. Jake, We hope you feel better,
Feel
bud. We
better.
can't wait to see you on the
We
next
miss you.
episode. I believe we're going again next week. So
I do believe so.
I
Like
think
and
the people are gonna
subscribe.
see us.
Follow
Like,
along. We'll see you
subscribe,
then.
follow, tweet at us, all that good stuff. We're on TikTok
Give us
now
your
at
Mount Rushmore.
IBT_media. Give us your Mount Rushmore. Guys, thank you so much. And as Seth likes to say, keep it in between. Take care.